All right, we're about to dive into a really fascinating story. It's all about how scientists are tackling one of the absolute worst side effects of cancer treatment. Not by discovering something brand new, but by taking a molecule that already exists in nature and, well, making it a whole lot better.
So to really get this, we first need to understand the problem, a problem that millions of cancer patients face. It's this sort of cruel paradox, right? Where the very treatment that's supposed to heal them ends up causing a whole new kind of pain. And just look at this number. 68.1%. I mean, that's nearly 70% of patients. In the very first month of chemo, they start to experience this specific, really painful side effect. We're not talking about some rare complication here. This is a massive, widespread problem that just devastates their quality of life.
And that problem has a name: chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, or CIPN for short. Basically, the life-saving drugs cause nerve damage. It leads to this chronic pain, numbness, and tingling that can make even the simplest everyday tasks feel completely impossible.
So what do we do about it right now? Well, the options are pretty limited. We're basically borrowing drugs from other conditions. Things like antidepressants, anticonvulsants, even opioids. But honestly, it's a coin toss. About half of all patients get no relief at all. And for the ones who do, the relief is often just partial. And it comes with a whole host of its own nasty side effects. It leaves this huge number of people just suffering with no good solution.
So, with the usual toolkit just not cutting it, researchers really had to think outside the box. They started looking for a little inspiration, and they found it in a place that's been getting a ton of attention lately. And that search led them right to cannabidiol, or CBD. Now, you've probably heard of it. It's a compound from the cannabis plant, and the key thing here is that it doesn't have any of those psychoactive effects. What it does have, though, is a really important property for this problem. It's neuroprotective. It can actually help shield nerve cells from getting damaged.
And you know, the early research looked really promising. A study back in 2014 showed that in mice, CBD could actually stop nerve pain from a common chemo drug from even starting. This was an awesome first step. But here's the catch with using a natural compound just as it is: it has limits. Natural CBD, well, it isn't as powerful as it could be. Our bodies don't always absorb it very well, and there are some real questions about its safety when you start using it as a high-dose medicine. The potential was there, for sure, but it wasn't perfect.
And this is where the science gets really, really cool. Instead of just accepting what nature gave them, scientists basically asked, what if we just rebuilt it? What if we could engineer a better version from scratch?
So, here you go. On the left, you're looking at the new molecule, KLS 13019. And on the right, there's the original cannabidiol it came from. Now, look really closely at that little side chain on the KLS molecule. It seems like a tiny, deliberate tweak to the structure, but it was designed to make a massive difference in how it works.
And this table just lays out how huge that difference is. KLS 13019 isn't just more potent or easier for the body to absorb and use. Just look at that top line. In the animal studies, CBD could only prevent the pain. KLS 13019 can actually reverse pain that's already established. I mean, that is a total game changer.
So the big question is, how does it do that? How does this re-engineered molecule pull off such a dramatic result? To understand that, we gotta zoom way in, down to the cellular level. The secret, it turns out, is this incredible dual-action attack. It goes right to the source of the problem, these tiny little power plants inside our nerve cells called mitochondria, and it hits the problem from two different angles.
First, it's like a bodyguard for the cell. It controls this protein that acts like a thermostat for calcium, which stops the cell from getting overloaded and dying from the stress of the chemo. And second, it's like a firefighter. It blocks a receptor that, when the chemo flips its switch, starts this whole cascade of painful nerve inflammation. So it both protects the cell and calms everything down.
Now check out this graph, because it shows that protective shield in action. So that first big dip you see in the green line, that's the nerve cell's health just tanking when they're hit with a chemo drug. But then, look what happens as you add more and more KLS 13019. The cell viability shoots right back up, all the way to the level of healthy cells. It's not just helping, it's a complete rescue.
Okay, so you've got this amazing, super promising molecule that works like a charm in the lab. But how do you take that and turn it into an actual medicine that can help real people?
Well, it all starts with some really clever chemistry. The team developed this new, super efficient four-step process. And this isn't just for fun. It's absolutely crucial. It means they can create a pure, stable version of the drug that can be made over and over again at a large scale for all the clinical trials and, hopefully, beyond.
And of course, before you can even think about testing a new drug in a person, it has to pass this mountain of safety tests. And KLS 13019 has been clearing these hurdles one by one. It didn't cause any major behavioral problems or toxicity in animals. And really importantly, it didn't act like morphine, which is a great sign that it has a low potential for abuse.
The road ahead from here is, it's very deliberate. It's very safe. It all starts with phase 1 trials. They'll begin with tiny, single doses in healthy volunteers just to make sure it's safe. Then they'll move on to multiple doses. And here's a really smart move. Late in that phase 1, they plan to include a small group of actual CIPN patients to try and get the earliest possible hint that the drug is actually working to relieve their pain.
This whole story, from a simple plant compound to this lab-designed molecule that can potentially undo nerve damage, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Maybe the future of medicine isn't just about discovering totally new drugs from scratch, but about finding nature's incredible blueprints and using our intelligence to redesign them, to solve problems they never could on their own.